think people focus on being perfect. How do you hit a 135 yard shot with an 8-iron? Your left hand up 1 inch. Your club head speed is going to be lower. Warm up with the 7-iron again today. You know, the more I hit in the morning, or almost every day, the more I think my back's going to become less and less stiff. You know, I think it has, actually. Probably just don't notice it as much. Or I just notice it more, you know. I just, I forget how bad it used to hurt. I used to sit at a desk every day. And that, I think, did much more harm to my back than swinging golf clubs every day. Looks like I'm just kind of feeling not too bad today. Just kind of almost go for a full swing right away. Yeah, this feels great. Do a little cut. Do a little draw. Put the 7 back in the bag, ready to go. Let's work our way down to 8 and 9. If you can see, because of my net here, I need to move up just a bit as I go up in club number. I don't have a top on my net, so I gotta make sure I'm hitting low enough, close enough to my wall. Ooh. Swung my 8 like I thought it was a 7. A little shank there. That was better. I feel like I'm in a hurry this morning. What's going on? Just feeling good, so I just gotta keep swinging, I guess. What causes it to shank off to the right there? I think what I'm doing is because I am swinging so good, I'm swinging fast now, and I'm coming through with my hands in front of the club, just having a bit of an open face, and then it hits it. The path is still forward, but the club face is open. And I think it's hitting down here close to the heel. Just got to keep that. Maybe those hands need to be further in front. That's a little better. Golf's funny this way. You can play it for decades, and which I have. I've probably played it now for 2 decades. Yep. And every day you can still be confused about why you're hitting it a certain way. I can still remember figuring out how to hit for the first time. I didn't have anybody teaching me. I just kind of was watching other people. And I had an analytical mind to me already at a younger age. Always wanted to figure out how things worked. And for some reason I would do this weird swing. I would just punch the head out first and do this. This weird little, I don't know, kind of a figure 8 swing like that. Sometimes it'd work. Let me see if it works right now. Definitely not. In order for that to work, you got to get your timing just perfect. It's kind of fun to see my son now, my daughters. I teach them how to swing, and they pick it up real quick. Nice to see as a young age, just kind of give them a little bit of direction, and it goes a long ways. I can kind of skip over that self-teaching, frustrating, struggling section, which is a beneficial stage as well, as James tells us, that suffering is not without its benefits. Gotta find joy in that suffering sometimes, because it produces endurance. Kind of a funny verse. But I think it's something we all know is true. He wants you to count it all joy when you have suffering. Because it produces endurance. I think that's true. I don't think you're born with endurance. I think you have to earn it. I think you have to learn that trials and suffering and hardships are necessary. I guess they're not just necessary, they're a fact of life. But when you come out on the other end, you not only have a better perspective on life, but you should have your perspective on life is is better. It makes you realize that, you know, tough things will happen. And that you can't stop that all the time. The only way to make it through is to give up a little bit of control. I think God likes it that way. He wants us to have total reliance on Himself. The question is why. I don't know if I fully understand yet. I guess if I created the whole entire universe, I would understand, but I didn't. This is my 4-iron. This one's always a funny club because you really have to keep it shallow to hit it well. I find it easier to hit with a cut like that, and it hits a little bit more on the larger, towards the toe center of the club head. If I try to draw it, you can get a good hit like that one, but it's more difficult. It's a longer club, so it's a longer club, but you're still hitting down on the ball. Something's just clicking with my swing this morning. I haven't hit too many fat ones. I think I'm just sitting just real well with my weight transfer. Makes it really easy to hit the ball flush. Let's do a real hard cut. Yeah, that one was tough. Came right off the heel. That was not gonna be a good one. Try that again. There, that was better. You really have to, when you're cutting, you're really tucking this right elbow right into the body to get that outward to inward movement to come across. So you're trying to slice that ball. If you're not shaping your shots out there, why not? I think people focus on being perfect, hitting this perfect straight shot every time, and then that happens. Hit it right off the toe, goes left, goes right, who knows what it's going to do. kind of like these trials, you know. If you know they're coming, you can prepare for them. You can aim a little left. You can do them on purpose. Ooh, how does that fit in? I'm not sure. But if you know they're coming, if you know there's going to be a cut, you can aim a little left to the green and it'll cut right in there. Or if you know there's going to be a draw, you can aim a little right. You know, the other thing you can do if you know it's going to go left or right, like if your pin's on the right side of the green, and then you can aim in the left side, do a little cut, you know, club up if you have to, because it'll go a little shorter. And then if it ends up going straight, you're still on the green. Still got a birdie putt. And if it cuts like you want it to, it's going to be right there by the pin. Which both are decent outcomes. You either have a decent outcome or a great outcome. Kind of mitigating the risk. You can do the opposite with the draw, of course. I mean, if it's in the middle of the green, that's okay too. Just, you know, whichever one you're more confident in, the draw or the cut. Aim to the left center of the green and do a little cut. I think the other thing people don't think about too much is, let's switch to the 9-iron. Thinking about where your ball is going to end up on the green. Thinking about troubles that you're going to run into. A little bit too close here. Thinking about the slope of the green. A lot of times you can see where the pin is, where you want to end up. You probably want to be below the hole. Meaning you want the pin to be uphill. Because we all know an uphill putt's easier than a downhill putt. You can hit it harder. Those really soft putts are difficult to direct. But when you really have to put a swing into your putt, I think your muscle memory, your just natural reactions kind of take over. It's easier to make it go towards the hole. But when you have to do a really light, like almost nothing putt down a hill, that ball could go anywhere. Much more difficult. So if your pin's at 155 and your 9-iron goes 155, you know, take some off of it. Do a cut. Make it a little short. Or move your left hand up 1 inch. That's going to shorten your club. Your club head speed is going to be lower because your radius is smaller and it won't go as far. Maybe take off 5 to 10 yards. Now make sure when you do that, you scoot a little closer to the ball. Make sure you're bending down far enough so you don't do that, which is a nice blade. That thing's going to go 20 yards further. nice slow backswing. Always trying to remind myself of that. So I think in your range session, it's always good to practice that 5 to 10 yard shorter swing. You can get a lot out of one club. You can hit your 155 with a 9-iron. You can drop it down an inch at 145. You can do your normal grip and cut it and hit 150, maybe a little less, 148 or something. You can do your normal grip and draw it. Might go like 158, 160. You can do the same with the grip down below, cut and draw, add a little bit, take a little bit off. And then you can add in there too, normal grip. I don't like to do too much with half swings or 3/4 swings, but I think a 3/4 swing, just don't go back as far. So this is my normal back swing. Maybe come to about right here. That'll take another 10 yards off. So maybe you want, 150, 145, and then 135. A little 3/4 swing with an inch down. You just knock 20 yards off. See if we can hit that. So then you have a lower ball, a lower trajectory than your gap wedge or your pitching wedge. Hitting a 9-iron instead. Maybe you got to get under a tree, or maybe you want it to run out on the green as opposed to just plugging right there in the front. Nothing worse than hitting a nice lob wedge and it just sits right there at the front, 40 feet from the pin. Maybe you want it to roll out. Maybe there's a lot of wind. Maybe you need to do the same with maybe you need to bump it up to an 8-iron. How do you hit a 135 yard shot with an 8-iron? Well, you can choke down, get down to 155, because mine's about 165. No, 162. I try to write it right here with a permanent marker. It fades off after a while. So 162, I got 152. I can do a 3/4, 142. I can do a 3/4 cut, 138. It's pretty close. It's close enough. So that takes it from a 162 to 138 by just making a few little adjustments and the adjustments need to be something that you can do and still swing your normal speed. So if you can maintain a consistent speed and tempo, then you're not going to have timing issues. So if you can just make the club fit in a different way, it's just a different setup. Different setup with the grip, different swing, backswing length, different backswing path. And then you hit it shorter. But if you do this thing where you're same grip, same backswing, you just swing slower, then you're just guessing. It's all feel. Which some people can do. But I like to reserve that feel for, those 70 yards and in shots. Even those, I still try to do something similar with my lob wedge. But why make golf harder? Just keep a lot of the variables the same and just change a few that are easy and consistent to change. All right, let's hit a few drives. Always got to hit a few drives. Been watching these other YouTube golfers, and the funny thing is, and maybe it's Micah, he's bringing out that new burner, I call it the mini driver. Reminds me of the old burner, the steel shaft. I love that driver. Wish I still had it. But these new heads do make it easier and more forgiving. They're enormous though. They just have so much wind resistance. Need to find one of those old burner drivers, the steel shaft. I think my brother might have one. I used to tee my driver real low, and it does help with control, but I find that hitting the driver low is just a bad idea. You're going to end up hitting it into the ground every once in a while, and the driver, you just want to pop up and let it fly. That tee almost flew up and hit me in the face. The driver's one of those things you can get creative with too. You don't always want to hit it straight down the pipe. There's just so much pressure to do that. And they are beautiful drives when you do get one of those. But why not try to shape it? Why not hit a little draw on purpose? In golf, it's just as much a mental game as it is a physical game. You always come up to these holes, and there's water down the left, and everybody thinks in their head, don't hit left, hit anywhere but left. And one of two things happens. You're thinking while you're hitting, don't hit left, don't hit left. Your body hears hit left. Just like children, they tell you when you're raising your kids not to tell them positive things, don't tell them negative things. Like, don't run in the road. And all they hear is road. And they're like, oh, there's a road over there. Well, they didn't know the road was there until you said, don't run into the road. Now they're thinking about the road. Now you're thinking about the water down the left. And one of two things happens. You either shank it straight into that water, or you're thinking anywhere but left, and you push it, you bail out right. Your mind just makes your body do it. We all have that experience. For some reason, when you're coming through, you just end up pushing that thing way right. But instead, if you thought, I'm going to aim a little left, I know the water's there, but I want it to curve into the fairway. Little cut. Aim a little left. Flirt with that danger a bit. That's okay, because my ball's going to curve right over it and go down the fairway. And you think about where the ball's going to go. You don't think, I hope it goes there. You think, it's going to go there. Be confident. And your muscles, you've hit enough balls. They know what to do. Trust me. And the best drives we have are the ones that we don't think about. Your body just kind of takes over. Well, that one was off the toe. It kind of fell there. This ground's getting a little loose here. I fell. I have these True shoes here, and I wear them all the time. Every day. And if I'm not working, put boots on, but... And I've kind of worn these little nubs down to almost nothing, but man, these are probably 4 years old. They're still holding up real great. I love these shoes. They almost have no support, which is why I like them. You feel everything in the ground, almost like you're barefoot. And to me, that's really helps my golf game. You can really feel your weight transfer. You really get to use your toes when you're pushing through. Because that's where a lot of your power comes from. You're pushing up from the ground. And if you don't have a solid connection, balanced too, you're gonna waste some of that power. Which is why you don't need to swing hard to hit it far. Just need nice, good contact. That would have been good. Good 280. Probably. I played somewhere this last Tuesday, and I shot a really terrible score. I'll admit it. I shot 93. A couple years ago when I was keeping my handicap, I'm about a 6. 6 over par on 18. And on Tuesday I shot 7 pars out of 18. But I shot a 93 with a 9er. I hit the ball great all day. I think I 3-putted every other hole. These pin locations were, the groundskeeper seemed to be a little upset that morning. He put them right on the ridge of the green. Most of the greens have 2 levels, and most of the pins were right in between them. Short-sighted from the bunker, mostly. But honestly, I had a fun time. It was the happiest I've ever been shooting a 93. I hit some great drives, great iron, approach shots, great chipping. Only reason I broke 100 probably. If I 5-putted a hole, you'd get like 2 feet above the hole, and you'd tap it to the hole, and it'd lip out and would go 12 feet past. And those greens are that fast, and the ground's hard. It's just something to remember. You only shoot good if everything kind of clicks together that day. It's okay. It's okay to come out and have fun and be happy for the good parts of your game. I didn't lose a single ball either. Not a single ball went out of bounds. I just putted terribly. I don't know if it was just me not used to the really fast greens. It was extra dry. They were cut extra short. Those pin locations were difficult. But, yeah. I think it's just something to think back on. You shouldn't be upset when you have a less than ideal round of score. You should also look at the positive. Think about what you did good that day. And it's beautiful weather, out with friends. Good time. Anyway, if you have any thoughts about what I said, leave some comments down below. We'll discuss it. Otherwise, see you next time.